I think the last little girl, Matilda, is a bit of a favourite of mine too, because the children are rooting for the children in the story all the time, and the more revenge or the more winning they can do, the better. Especially at the end, when the worst person in the book is done in by a child, outwitted by a child. That's splendid, because each reader visualizes themselves in the shoes of that child.
Hello and welcome to the Adapted Screen Podcast, a podcast about movies, books that have been adapted to movies, books that have been adapted to screen in some way or another, whether it be TV or even theatre, not screen, but adapted nonetheless. So yeah, that's what this is about. Some weeks we have guests, some weeks we don't. This week we do have a guest. This week we have Ben Davis. He's a children's author. He's the winner of the Ludlow Children's Award or something like that. It will be mentioned in the podcast in a way. But yeah, Ben Davis, he's joined us. So we've chosen a children's book to cover this week. We have chosen Matilda. So that's what we'll be talking about. And yeah, please feel free to follow us on Twitter and Facebook and wherever you listen to podcasts, whether it be Spotify or Google Podcasts. Please do that. We would love that. We would much appreciate that. But yeah, without no more dilly-dallying, here is the chat we had together about Matilda and other such stuff. Anyway, I'm going to record it anyway.
Did you'd won the Ludlow Children's Author of the Year? Is that correct, or something on the lines of that?
Yeah, Shrewsbury. What's it called? Shrewsbury.
Get it right.
Or something
Get
like
it
that.
right. Yeah, get it right.
Yeah, a few regional ones actually. I never won anything for all the years I've been an author. Then during this pandemic, I've started winning awards when I can't get to I've just got to do acceptance speeches in my kitchen and stuff. So, it's nice to win awards anyway.
Did you win one that David Walliams had won previously? Which one was that?
That was the Shrewsbury one. Yeah.
Okay. For some reason, I thought it was Ludlow, but yeah.
It's that neck of the woods, isn't it?
Something like that. Yeah, I suppose it's not that too far.
Does
away.
each county have their own award? Do they?
A lot of them do. Yeah. I've just which one? Like Derbyshire and Essex and that. Yeah, all over really.
You're going to work your way through them, are you?
Yeah, trying. Yeah, I got the Warwickshire one in a couple of weeks as well. But I don't know if I won that. Yeah, I've got to practice my gracious loser face with the Zoom. Yeah.
That what me, I'll kick the table over and run off.
what was the comedy award you won, Ben?
Did I win any? I was a finalist in a few.
Fuck off! Did I win any? Did I win an award?
Was it?
Don't remember.
Was you at the NEC because it was the final? I'm sure, or was that just for the winners? You know which one I'm talking about.
That was the thing. Yeah, we had to audition for that.
Mm-hmm. That's right. BRMB. What was it? Was it BRMB?
It was no Heart. Yeah, and it was me, and it was only supposed to be one of us, but they ended up taking me and Al Rudge together, which I'm glad they did take both of us because I would have been cacking myself on my own. But yeah.
You got to meet some celebrities on that day, didn't you, Ben?
Yeah, there's all these nice celebrities, and I'm a picture taker with Rolf Harris, which is that comes up on my Facebook like once a year now, as a special memory. That Christmas.
One day when you're really famous, that's going to come back and bite you right in the arse.
It's not ideal when you're writing kids' books, though, to be honest.
No, it's not, is
it? It'd be something on Line of Duty. It'd be something on Line of Duty, wouldn't it? Yeah, we've got this suspect, and look, he's with this well-known nonce.
Yeah, bloody hell. Yeah, I didn't see that coming. That's all.
So book-wise, Ben, are you on book number 8? Is that correct?
I'm on number 9 was out last year. And then I've got a bit of a period with none coming out. And then I've just signed a new contract for a couple more, but that's not going to be out for ages yet.
Mm-hmm. And the last one, was it What's That in Dog Years, or was it Suit Movement?
Suit Movement was the last one, yeah. What's That in Dog Years was just the one before.
Okay. And you've got that. they're not related to because you've got a series of books, or with a series, or with a character. What's that one called?
Yeah. So what I started off doing, I started off writing like teen fiction, and that was a series called Joe Cowley series. That was, but yeah, I stopped that a while ago. That was a 4-book series.
Okay,
Yeah,
no ideas to carry on with the Joe Crowley then, or
no, I get emails every now and then from kids like, "Are you doing the 5th one?" And I'm like, "No." Like, the publisher just sort of said, "Yeah, well, this will be the last one." Then I was like, "Oh, okay." So
yeah. If the money's right, kids, I'll do it.
Oh yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, if I want to give me money to do it, I'll do it. It's not. Yeah, I'll keep churning them out. It's no problem.
And so, how many other countries have got your books at the moment?
Few in sort of odd places like South Korea, and there's one. I've got a couple coming out in Japan for the first time soon, I think, because I just had an email from the translator, and she was asking me like all these, like, and I realised how many sort of like British idioms I put in there because she's asking me like, what does hardest kid on the estate mean? I'm like, how'd you explain that to someone from Japan, and stuff like that? So yeah, they're sort of out in. All over really. We've got some out in Holland and Latin America, sort of odd places like that really. Yeah, I don't know how they're doing in those places.
Well, I was going to say, how do they end up over there then? Is that your publisher like touting them to other publishers in other countries, or what's the score? Yeah.
Well, in normal times, like the before times, they'd have like the Frankfurt Book Fair and London Book Fair and whatever, and that's when like they'd all publishers from all over the world all assemble in one place and they all see what they fancy really, and that's how a lot of it's done. Obviously this past year or so I think it's gone all Zoom and whatever, so it's been a bit tricky, but yeah, that's how it's normally done. Yeah,
interesting. There we go. That's all the questions. Thanks so much for your time, Ben. I'll speak to you soon. See you, mate. Bye.
Just before we carry on, and for the recording, so people watching this don't think I live in a shithole, are you getting the reference behind me?
The reference? I've been looking at it now.
To the book that we're covering.
Oh, is it really? Oh God!
No, well, it's kind of like a reference to something within the book.
Oh, really? Is it Miss Honey's house?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was going to say...
Phil did not get that.
Yeah, I got it now. You told me it was from the book, but yeah. I was thinking it was something from Deliverance or something.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going with, especially knowing Ritchie. I was like, he's got someone trapped in like in a basement there or something.
What a waste of my fucking time.
He's got a trophy rooms with heads in jars.
Might as well go back to the old one. Fuck it. There we go.
His feelings now, Ben.
That's the one I usually use. I'll use that one. Fuck it.
That's nice.
I could use my actual background, but no, you don't want to see that. It's a shithole in here.
Okay, cool. So, Ben, basically the way it works is, I mean, it's pretty much self-explanatory. We just have a chat about, normally we started talking about the book and then just find the differences in the film and just chat for a bit. And then we realised we've been talking for an hour and then we stopped talking.
Yeah,
usually the way it works, Ritchie. Yeah,
kind of get bored, don't we?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends because, like, when we did Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, there was lots of differences, and it took us about 3 hours to get through. Whereas we did High Fidelity in the last one, and there was like 3 differences, and we're like, that's it, done. Thanks, bye.
Yeah.
And this book was no more than a pamphlet, really. So
no.
Yeah. And it's not that different, really, either.
No, I mean there are obviously a few. But it's not saying anything until we're actually. All right, well, I'll ask the first question then. Ritchie and Ben, you can take it in turn, starting with you, Ritchie. When did you first either watch and or read Matilda, and what did you watch and read for this podcast?
What?
Fuck's sake. Okay.
When was the first time I ever watched them and first ever read it? Well,
yes.
May have been at school, obviously.
Don't get all moody about it. I didn't
back in the early days.
Did they have books in the Black Country when you was a child?
We had it on. Dad used to write on the chalkboard.
When was the first time you watched the film?
Oh, mate, I can't remember. Jesus. I mean, when did it come out?
Fuck knows.
We usually have a bit of a synopsis and stuff ready for this, so we can say a bit
okay.
about the
Should we start
author.
again, then?
Have you got anything? Because I haven't.
Yeah, got on the back of the book, surely.
Let's do that.
Surely on the back of the book. Here we go. Roald Dahl. Okay. So short synopsis.
Synopsis.
Yeah, I can't say it. It's fucking ridiculous. When Roald Dahl was 16, he decided to go off on his own holiday in France. He crossed the channel from Dover to Calais with £24 in his pocket in 1933. Roald wanted to see the Mediterranean Sea, so he took the first train to Paris, then on to Marseille when he got a bus and went the wrong way down to Monte Carlo. He finished up at a place called St. John Cap Ferret, easy for me to say, and stayed there for 10 days, wandering around by himself and doing whatever he wanted. It was his first taste of absolute freedom and what it was like to be grown up. He travelled back home the same way, but by the time he'd reached Dover, he had absolutely no money left. Luckily, a fellow passenger gave him 10 shillings, or 50 pence in today's money, for his tram fare home. Roald never forgot the kindness and generosity. That's an adventure of Roald Dahl. I'm going to have a look here. Let's have a look. Meeting Quentin Blake. Writing tips. Here we go. 1916. Roald Dahl was born on the 13th of September in Llandaff in Wales. Is that correct? Did I say that right? Not quite sure. Roald was sent to boarding school in 1925, St. Peter's School in Weston-super-Mare. 1939, okay, so around the beginning of the Second World War, Roald Dahl joined the RAF at the start of the Second World War. He became a fighter pilot, flying Hurricane aeroplanes across the Mediterranean Sea. His plane crashed in Western Desert in North Africa, and he received severe injuries to his head, nose, and back.
Most people died. Did well.
He did. In 1942, Roald was sent to the USA to work in the British Embassy, and some say he was also a spy. His first adult story was published, and he wrote his first story for children about mischievous creatures called gremlins. Walt Disney started to work on turning it into a film, and Roald went to Hollywood. 1943, movie plans ground to a halt, but The Gremlins was published in the USA, Britain, and Australia. It was Roald's first book. And then let's come up a little bit to closer times. 1978, Roald Dahl's partnership with Quentin Blake began when the publication of The Enormous Crocodile. And in 1990, Roald died on November the 23rd, aged 74. So that's a bit about the author. Ritchie, what is your favourite Roald?
Hold on, bit about the film.
Go for it. Do it.
So what I'm going to do now is, rather than talk about it, because I can't be arsed, I'm going to show you the trailer. So we're going to watch the trailer together.
Ooh. Press play.
Once upon a time, there was a girl named Matilda.
Hi, Dad.
Get in the car, Melinda.
Matilda!
Whatever.
Who was extraordinary in every way.
Pretty soon you'll be able to do any multiplication, whether it's 2 times 7
14.
or 13 times 379.
4,927.
Wow. She can multiply large sums in her head. So can a calculator.
But in a world where grown-ups make all the rules.
I'm smart. You're dumb.
I'm big and you're small.
I'm right.
And you're wrong.
In a school where the principal
In this school, I am God.
has no principles.
Yes, Miss Trunchbull! Sir! The Trunchbulls used to be in the Olympics. Shot put, javelin, hammer throw.
She will discover
Somebody's got to teach her a lesson.
deep inside herself
You should believe in whatever power you think you have inside of you.
a secret weapon
Let's see what's the powers.
to even the odds.
No more Miss Nice Girl.
Hey, get face. Have a carrot.
Nah, you eat it.
Now,
Cookie.
You will not leave this platform until you have consumed the entire confection.
She gives power
You can do it, Brucey!
to the powerless. Help to the helpless.
Harry, take your head off.
I can't get it off.
And disaster to those who deserve it. From the author of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and James and the Giant Peach, and the unique vision
What did you do to your hair?
of director Danny DeVito, comes the story of every kid's right to stand tall, no matter how small. Matilda.
There you go.
So that was a trailer about all the things that weren't in the book.
There were. The hat thing was in the book. The hair thing was in the book.
Yeah, but like well, we could talk about this later on. But like the hat thing, that wasn't in the restaurant, was it? In the book, it's just in the house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then all the bits with like all of the powers, she only uses the powers twice.
Yeah, the book is very. I mean, I have to keep reminding myself it's a children's book, but it lacks so much fucking substance. It's just
make it more clear. So, Ritchie, did you read the book and watch the film?
I mean, yeah, that's what the podcast is.
Ben, did you read the book and watch the film?
Yes.
Okay, so I did it a little bit differently, knowing that we had a guest. I read the book and listened to the radio adaptation rather than watch the film. Only
that's
because,
something I would usually do, you cheeky bastard.
I know, yeah. To be fair, though, oh shit, sorry, that's my.
I should have watched the stage play. There's a stage play as well, isn't there?
Well, only because I've seen Matilda probably about 7,000 times. So I think I was safe in the knowledge of what was different in the film to the book. But yeah, I thought I was going to have to go and sort out the
washing
the
machine.
Hoover.
Is that?
No, it's the Hoover. It kicks in at 7:30 every Sunday. Bear with.
The Hoover kicks in at 7:30 every Sunday.
Fucking loud knacker. Unbelievable.
What was that?
It was the Amazon automatic vacuum thing.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant the missus kicks in at 7:30 every Sunday.
You'd fucking be kicking me at 7:30 every Sunday, I can tell you, if I told her that. Yes. Okay, yes. So yes, I didn't watch the film. I listened to the adapted radio play and read the book, which was pretty cool. I think I asked you earlier on, Ritchie, when you first read Straight Watch. When was your first introduction to Matilda, Ben?
Like loads of people, I read it at school, and I seem to remember the film came out like not long after I read the book. It came out like 96, so I would have been like 10. So yeah, I remember it come out not long after I read it. So it was pretty fresh in my mind. So
I think looking at the film, it was directed by Danny DeVito. I thought it was a very good film, but I think the one thing I noticed about all Roald Dahl films is that they're kind of toned down a little bit. Like if you look at language that's used, obviously it's always the adults that are the naughty ones, really, or the bad people. Even if there's children that are a bit naughty in the book, it's always the adults that are a bit like mean and nasty. But the language that's used in the books is far more threatening, where I think in the films it's more like it's just more like bullying rather than threatening. Am I making sense? Because I think I was.
The book is a shade darker than the films.
That's where I was going for. Yeah, it is a little bit, isn't it? Yeah. I think that's what I was going to say. I think in the film they're more dismissive. They're just dismissive of Matilda, whereas in the book they're just fucking downright hate her. They just proper don't like her at all, do they?
No, the thing I struggled mainly with the story was she obviously in the film wasn't 4 years old. She was probably about 6 or 7 in the film. The book, she's 4 years old. Now, at the time, before I had my own child, I wouldn't have thought anything of that. But now I've got my son who is 4, and I look at him a tiny little thing, and I'm thinking to myself, can I imagine him walking down the street on his own to a library? And if I saw a little child like him walking on his own down the street, I couldn't just walk past him and leave. I'd be like, fuck. My son probably couldn't even tell you where he fucking lives. And, and you would stop him and go, where's your mom? Where do you live? You'd want to take him back. You wouldn't. And you can imagine walking through a high street or whatever, hundreds of people walking past him and not one of them said anything to her. Nah, bullshit. It's not based on a true story at all, this.
What does how does Davis Jr. fare towards where Matilda was? Because they're about the same age. The character in your son, of course.
Yeah, I mean, we have a parents' evening, and she says he's nice and everything, but he's not a genius. I can say that to begin with. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was talking to a teacher actually about Matilda, and he was saying like, besides the head teacher who chucked kids out of a window, even leaving that to one side, the book's a safeguarding nightmare. Like you say, you've got Matilda walking down the street. She just goes to that teacher, just Miss Honey's house, doesn't she have to school? You can't be doing that. So the whole book really, it's just like, oh no, there's not a proper safeguarding measures at school.
I do like that. It's a safeguarding nightmare.
Yeah, that's what he says.
He wouldn't have got away with writing the book today. Fuck me. No, I mean, he could have written it, but it done no good. He'd have been slaughtered for it. Yeah,
I mean, Matilda actually, because I read to my son at night, and obviously I tend to prefer authors who are still alive who need the money, but I've been reading the Roald Dahl ones for sort of nostalgic reasons. And Matilda, that's not too bad, but I mean, I was reading him The Great Glass Elevator, and I had to stop because it was too... there was one bit, it was just the president of the US, and he was just like reeling off racist jokes. Like constantly, and I was like, I'm going to put this to one side and move on to something else. So yeah, it's a bit,
I have that in and out again when I'm my daughter's got an extensive Jacqueline Wilson collection, right? And she's 9, and sometimes some of the subject matter in Jacqueline Wilson books aren't for 9-year-old girls. No, and I'm like, how do I either skip this word or skip the whole fucking chapter? I'm not quite sure. How do I say this girl is trying to kill herself, but like without saying kill herself? Falling down the stairs. Oops.
I've had similar thing. I've been reading the first 5 books of the Bible, the Torah to the Baby, and you've got people dying left, right, and centre, people being struck down and stoned, prostitutes everywhere, people shagging brothers and sisters. It's jeez, no, couldn't get away with writing that today.
But I think if you start with "In a Galaxy Far, Far Away," you're clear. Start with those words, and then anything you say, you can say whatever you like then, because it doesn't happen in this universe. Sorry. Oh, so I know we went off on one straight away. Then didn't really with that's it. I think the strange thing about Roald Dahl films, Roald Dahl books, like they're in a different, like I suppose they're in a different universe completely, because it's like if you look at Fantastic Mr. Fox, I mean, as if 3 mad farmers would just blow holes in the ground until there was no ground. You know what I mean? It's just like, and just as like Willy Wonka's chocolate, or whatever it is, Charles, and what is the Willy Wonka chocolate factory? What's it called? Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Is that what it's called?
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Yeah, the film one, they called it Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, if I remember right.
Yeah, and I think, but like if you look at the book, I suppose when you look at the films, it kind of makes them a bit more real, but like the books you can't really take very seriously. They seem set in a different land altogether. But then again, I suppose Ron was a lot older than us, really, or like was born in a different time, and so things maybe seemed different, where people were more strict, maybe like schools and family members and all that kind of stuff. They probably were more strict and a bit more nasty than what people are nowadays. Maybe, I don't know.
The thing with Roald Dahl books is, and they're kids' books, and the thing about kids' books is it's supposed to teach them some sort of moral story and some sort of lesson, I think. And you get that a lot more now in books today. But this, it's like if you've got a nasty big bully or nasty teacher, so long as you've got magic powers, you're sound. You get through life.
Yeah, if you're Matilda or Jean Grey, you're all right.
Otherwise, you're fucked. You're going to get chucked out the windows and stuck in horrible rooms with spikes everywhere.
Just very quickly, before we do move on, this is the second film that we've actually had this actress. We've covered this. I don't know what her name is. I'm really sorry, but we covered her in Mrs. Doubtfire and now Matilda. Yeah, she was.
What's her name?
I don't know. I have to look it up.
I'll have a look.
Yeah, but we did try and get her.
Mara Wilson, is it?
Ah, yes, or it's something. It begins with an M, at least. Yes, I do believe we did. I think we'd sent a couple of emails to try and get her on the show, and she told me to fuck off. So I got you instead, Ben. Is that all right with you, mate? Yeah, being second best to the actress. Is that all right?
That's fine. Yeah, I'll yes, happily be second best to Mara Wilson.
Good stuff. But yeah, I don't really know when the first difference, or like the kind of the first differences came in. I mean, a bit like what you said at the start, I suppose, Ritchie. When she goes to the library, you'd think that the librarian would call the police or social services, but clearly it's a free for all for her. And I think really the differences didn't really come until the end of the film, particularly. I think it was the end that was not the end, even though that is the case. But there wasn't really much difference. There was bits added in certain sections, but like it wasn't really until she was at school that there was any real difference, unless I'm completely wrong.
Sorry, I was I'm looking at pictures.
Ben?
So that game, yeah, Ben.
Ben.
Yeah,
no, it's just
There's, obviously the one that stood out to me as a kid, I was thinking, why are they all like American? That was a bit, but that's that's a bit expected. And the brother as well. I think in the book, the brother's just sort of normal. I think they make him more of a bully in the book, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, no,
but like you say, it is compared to a lot of other Roald Dahl adaptations. It is pretty close to the source material, really, compared to like Charlie and Chocolate Factory. That takes a lot of liberties, but yes, I think at the end the parents sort of actually seem like they're going to miss her a bit, don't they? Whereas in the book they're like, whatever.
Yeah, I think. Oh, there she is. Yeah, Mara Wilson, you were spot on there. Well done, Ben.
I would, yeah.
I'm not getting drawn into
that. Yeah, she's all grown up. Look at her. Okay.
That'll do.
But I better get rid of that now. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's quite all right.
What was I thinking?
Yeah, I think it's very much of its time and very much Americanized. I think if I was going to think of a film that it reminded me of was Problem Child. It was if you've ever seen Problem Child. It was kind of like that, but not that the child was a problem, but just kind of that hecticness with the parents who don't like the children and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah,
did I just sniff really horribly down the mic? So sorry.
I can't.
Sorry about that.
Wasn't paying any attention to you, in all fairness, Rich. Yeah, I think like the characters. Look, the dad was pretty spot on. In the book and the film, and I think the mom was as well. Like you said, Ben, I think the brother was more bullied up to like he was like a dad junior kind of thing, making Matilda like an actual outcast, if you know what I mean. But I always wondered, like because the kids loved my kids absolutely loved the film, and I always wondered why a parent would just blank the kid, shut up and watch telly. Shut up, but I can do this catting, but you must have cheated. You're a cheater. You know what I mean? It's just you have no idea at the level that like the kid's doing something good. They just don't give a shit for whatever reason, and it's not really ever explained, is it? No. That was one of the biggest things, and obviously it leads into the end of the film that he's being watched by the FBI or something like that, and one of the FBI agents is Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah.
Who my children also love watching his films as well, which is quite funny.
Because when you're doing dodgy dealings with cars, cheap cars, the FBI are the first people that are going to get involved. Not the local police. Straight to the fucking top. He's doing what with cars? Get the FBI in.
The speedboat
Get the Secret
salesman.
Service in now.
I did like when Mrs. Trunchbull, where she thought that Matilda's dad was a stand-up member of the community, and then as soon as she realised he'd sold her a dodgy car, he was a complete wanker, but he was still right about Matilda being a problem child, which I thought was quite funny. Her mind was made up that Matilda was just like a no good rotter.
Yeah,
from the start.
Yeah. The scene where she goes in the house in the film, that wasn't in the book.
No, well, I mean, I think that's and I think like the book itself is probably about 260 pages, and I think if you take out all of the pictures, and if you would take out all of the pictures and fill those pages with, those blank bits with words, it probably only is about 180 pages, maybe a bit less. And I suppose if each page is 10 seconds of, or 30 seconds of screen time or whatever, you've got to bulk it out a little bit, haven't you, really?
Yeah, true.
So because in the book they never went to the house at all, because in the film they go to the house at one point and then she comes home and they manage to escape, and then she does all the scary bit, because in the book when she runs her off, she does the thing with the chalkboard and go, this is Herbert or Cedric or whatever the man's name was. And then she runs off and she never comes back. And then she signs the house over. Whereas that happens, I think that happens in the film early on ish with the chalkboard. And then they go to the house and they do the big thing with the painting that floats and all that. And then she gets scared and then she runs off.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one thing. When having reread the book recently, I was waiting for that bit. I thought, because my memory tricked me into thinking it was in the book, so I was expecting that, and I was expecting Matilda to end up in the, what's it called, the chokey, which doesn't happen in the book either.
Yes,
no, it doesn't.
And because I didn't watch the film this time round, she doesn't go to Miss Honey's house, does she? In the film,
yes,
does she?
Yeah, she does. Does she?
Yeah.
She's there at the end.
Yeah.
I know she's there at the end on the porch, but I mean, like inside eating and stuff. I think I can only ever remember her being on the porch.
Yeah, it's not in the book. It's quite a big thing. She goes to her house after school and they eat.
But also, it's a proper house, though. It's not a shack because she's got no money.
Yeah.
And there's none of that, is there? Because and that's one of the things about Roald Dahl. In that, what she's saying is that like she's grown up. She suspects that her aunt has killed her dad, and then she's looked after her and gone, because I've looked after you, you owe me £250,000. Every fucking penny you earn, you've got to pay me. And it's just like, fucking hell, how low, you know what I mean? I'm reading that, I go, fuck me, I fell for the word. What's going on? This is, how on earth has this happened? But obviously there's none of that in the film, and I don't know whether it's because it's unnecessary to the story or whether they don't know how to approach it. You know what I mean? Because how do you approach that in the, like, they're trying to make it as real as possible with a girl that's got superpowers.
Yeah, it's like you were saying earlier as well. I think they trim off some of the darker edges of it as well to make it a bit more palatable, because he does. I mean, Roald Dahl. I mean, if you remember the witches, that other one at the end of the book, that I know it's a different book, but
scared the fucking shit out of me. That book did.
Oh yeah, I mean. But at the end of the book, he's still a mouse. Whereas I think in the film, they make him they turn him back into a boy. So they make it a bit more sort of palatable for the
happy end
or whatever. Yeah.
Did I see? Did I read an article or hear something saying that like witches has been like either cut or banned or something because of
they've redone it, haven't they?
Yeah, they've redone it, but because of
like fucking horrible.
No, but yeah, because you know that like they've got like missing arms, or they're like amputee, like the witches are amputees or something, or like they've got the weird thing going on with their arms, whatever. I can't remember because I haven't seen the film in such a long time. But apparently they've come up. There's some backlash against like some disabled group saying that like basically like people with disabilities or half a limb, like they're making them out to be evil. But it's like it's from a book, from about 50 years ago and a film from about 50 years ago. So how is this a new thing? You know what I mean? Like, for fuck's sake, take a breath. But what you
Now,
can do?
don't judge me. Don't judge me. And this is absolutely God's honest true story. This is on my baby's life who's downstairs. But there's a lad I've met next door in the pub just 2 days ago, new to the area, and he's got 3 fingers and 1 hand. True story. And I met him and we've been talking. I didn't notice. He went to shake my hand as an introduction. Now, if I've never met you before and you've got 3 fingers and 1 hand and 5 on the other, don't offer me the one with 3 fingers, because you're just gonna. And he must know. He must have known what he was doing. He must have done it on purpose. And I kind of went, "Oh, look, you've got 3 fingers," like he didn't know. So awkward.
What the fuck? What? Where did they go? What?
Yeah,
I used to do. I used to do business with a UK pub chain, and their like managing director had an issue with one of his arms. I can't remember what, but I remember when I was being prepped for the meeting, they said, "Don't shake his right hand." And I was like, "What you want about?" And they're going like, "Just, you know, like he's got a."
Tell him not to offer it to me.
No. But he doesn't. He offers the left. And obviously, because when you shake hands, you go with the right, but he always does the left. And he was just like, just make sure that when you put it's the left rather than the right. And I was like, okay. So it helps when you've got a bit of warning, I suppose.
Yeah. Luckily, the guy's got a sense of humour about it, and he just carried on joking about it without me prompting him. So it's fine.
God, you two must get on like a house on fire.
Yeah.
So anyway, moving on. I mean, again, like the differences in the film, they were really only towards the end, and they're really only to do with Matilda's powers. I think there wasn't really much else that there was a difference in the movie. I think we saw in the trailer there, like she was testing her powers out at home, and I don't really think she did that in the book, did she? She wasn't really testing her powers out at home particularly. It was more of an anger thing that she got when she first knocked the jug over.
Yeah, I think in the film she discovers her powers a bit earlier on, don't she? If I remember right.
Yeah, it was with the breakfast cereal and then all of the other bits that we just saw in the trailer. Then like moving things around the house, where I think she might have actually said to Miss Honey that she was doing that, but there was no kind of written bit in the book.
There was a bit of a difference in the book to the film, where in the book she had the power, did what she did, and then she told Miss Honey and showed Miss Honey what she did. Bang. In the film, it was one of those dramatised things where the second time she chose to do it, to show her, fucked up. Didn't work.
I don't know. No, I don't.
It wasn't until afterwards when she.
I think it took her a while in the book. I think it took her a while. Like I think she had to try 2 or 3 times in the book still.
Did she?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. That she was
No, she got it. Because I was expecting her to fuck up in the book, but now she said all the power came behind her eyes and the everything, and then it worked. Whereas in the film, no, it didn't happen the second time.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Interesting.
Because I expected in the book for her to fail, but she didn't.
Well, there isn't enough time in that book for anything really. You've got to get from A to B, haven't you? There's no side plot. There's nothing really. That was
no.
And I think that's what the film had to do. The film had to put side plots in. It had to do little bits, like for instance, they went out like in the movie. Did they didn't have the parrot? Did they? There wasn't the parrot that she shoved in the chimney and stuff like that. There wasn't anything like that. But obviously,
I thought that was ridiculous in the book. I mean, come on.
It's a bit, yeah, but that's well, I mean, right, Ben. Okay, so we've got Ben, who's a children's author, teen author, children's author. Is that the kind of comedy that you would be looking at to put in a book, knowing that a child's going to laugh at that, Ben?
I have used a parrot, not in that way. I've not put it in a fireplace, but yeah, I did in my first book. There was a parrot. Yeah, but I mean, it's one of them. You probably not these days. You think it's sort of like it's one of them where I think Roald Dahl got to a point where he was so big time. I think sometimes his editors weren't really picking him up on stuff, or if they were, he was just telling them to sod off because I'm Roald Dahl. You can't tell me what to do. Whereas someone like me, who's I'm on the shelf below Roald Dahl. He has a full shelf. I have maybe one in the shelf below him because my last name begins with D. I more have to listen to more what my editors say. Really, I can't tell them to go away and leave me alone. So yeah, in some of his certainly later books, yeah.
I mean, I wasn't really say getting at like a parrot joke, but like when you're writing, is it like, for instance, that bit about the parrot being stuck up the chimney? Like my daughter thought that was quite funny. You know what I mean? So is it like you're finding bits to like bits that children are gonna laugh at? I mean, now I'm talking to a former stand-up comedian here, but like how do you approach putting like that, like putting a joke into a book, into the story, so to speak? I mean,
yeah, I'm sure I'm like you guys. Really, I'm annoying to live with because it's sort of how my brain works. I'm always thinking about jokes all the time. So even when I'm writing these books about more serious stuff, like a kid who's got cancer or a kid whose parents are getting divorced, and that, I'm still putting jokes in there. So it's not something I have to work at, really. I have to work to not put too many in because it becomes stupid. So I have the opposite problem.
Is that something you've learned, where to put them in and where not to? Though, I mean, obviously, when you're doing the stand-up bit, you know where the joke is. The joke is at the end, but like obviously, you don't put a joke. You don't save your jokes to the end of the chapter, so to speak. So, like when you did your first draft, as an example, like was you ready to go, right, you need to put a joke in this bit here, this bit here, this bit here, or is it just let it flow and let's see what happens?
Yeah, I think what I was doing in my very first drafts, I was trying to shoehorn jokes in that didn't belong there. So I'd be like, I might say I've had a gag from my stand-up set that I was thinking, I like that gag. I'm just force that in there, and even though it's got no business being there. So that were the type of the ones I get out saying now that you don't need that. You need to think first and foremost. You need to be focused on telling the story.
I think the bender is my favourite joke of yours.
Yeah, there was a bit of that in my first one, it being a sort of a teen book. Yeah, being what was the joke? It was something else called Bend Over, Bender, Dickhead or something.
Dickhead,
it's been a long time. Yeah, it's been a
Kids
long time.
Kids at school used to call me all sorts of names: Bender, Bend Over, Dickhead.
Yes, that was it. That was towards the start. That was one of my opening lines. That was
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There you go. I'd stop listening after that one. In all fairness, that was it. I was like, I've got my money's worth.
For the best, to be honest. For the best.
Wow. It's about knowing your audience as well. I mean, when you're writing for children, that they have much simpler brains than us. So it's an audience. It's like earlier. I posted this thing on. Somebody posted on. In fact, I'll fucking show you. It pissed me right off.
Have we got some safeguarding stuff going on here? If this is
fuck safeguarding, look at this, right? So somebody posted, where do you find inspiration to ask better questions for your podcast, right? So just being funny, because podcasters and music.
That's interesting, because all my questions are shit.
And I spelled it wrong, I think, but I put cocaine. Yeah, see that? So this person after put Ritchie armor jugs kill. Ritchie armor jugs kill. And not good questions, whatever that means. I've lost some friends and from addiction. So I put, fuck me, fun sponge. Bet you're the life and soul at every party. Probably not the best way to come back at him. But...
Fun sponge.
Yeah, but obviously I've got my audience song, so it's one of them.
Yeah.
Swiftly moving on to Matilda. So so one of the biggest differences in Matilda was
the end. To leave, Phil?
No,
do you want me to go?
No, you're quite all right, mate.
Just sit still and shut up. Yeah,
I'm asking the both of you a question now.
Okay.
In the end, in the book, it's like, I think one of you might have mentioned there was a bit more of a fight to not keep her kind of thing, but the dad has to go to the Costa del Sol because he's try dodge. Whereas obviously in the film we've been led to believe that the FBI are watching him because he's try dodge, and there's a big rush to get away. But Matilda doesn't want to go, and Matilda's actually at the house in the film rather than runs to her house when she finds out. But the question is, which ending is better?
Ooh.
They're both as bad as each other.
Yeah, I mean, you think the film one's a little, in terms of they seem regretful that they're leaving her behind slightly, not as much a normal parent would, but a little bit. That's a bit more realistic than in the book where they're just like, whatever, just go with the teacher, I don't care. You know,
haven't you got that the wrong way around? Or at least maybe that's me. Then I thought in the book they were a bit more reluctant. Just because oh well, shall we not, or no, they were a bit more reluctant because they didn't want to pay, they didn't want to give her any money for the upkeep, whereas in the film they were much more rushed because you could hear the sirens and they were more like, fucking hurry up, and she was like, I ain't going. They're like, well, just fucking go on then, stay, let's see you later. And didn't they try to palm the boy off? Didn't they try to palm the son off at the same time, or am I? No.
I can't remember. No. I remember the mum being a bit sad film.
Yeah, slightly.
You
Yeah,
don't,
for
you
like
don't
this
really
much.
get in the book, but yeah, it's a bit different. Yeah,
Mind you, I thought the moms were chalk and cheese. I think in the book and the film, even though the character is pretty similar. I'm not saying that the mom was attractive in the film, but in the book, you got an idea that she was just a beast of a woman, like she was like a trunch bowl kind of character. Whereas in the film, at least, like you could imagine that once she might have been attractive, and she still thinks that she is, because she's very much like looks and hair and jewelry and makeup and clothes, and so she still thinks she's like maybe 20 from what she was 20 years ago. But I think in all of the books, the kind of not nice adults, are they? And they always seem a bit dirty and grubby and slimy and unwashed, I think is the they do though, don't they? They all seem like they could just do with a nice bath, because they all come across as grubby and stinky, which maybe that's another thing for kids. Maybe, I don't know. That's how they all see all adults, as grubby and stinky. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a thing across all his books. And sorry, what you?
Okay.
No, I was just going to say it's a thing that he always does in pretty much all his books. The baddies are always the adults, like James and the Giant Peach, and his two aunties, aren't they? They're horrible, and the twits and stuff like that. It's always evil grown-ups,
stinky and smelly, like the Fantastic Mr. Fox. They were all like just people you wouldn't want to. You cross the street, wouldn't you?
I tell you what this book's done for me. This book's made me realise they should start putting, like, when you buy a game and it'll say from age 4 to 6 or something. I think they should start doing that with books, because I never thought of it before, but there are levels of children's books. So you think of Harry Potter as a children's book, but the kind of kid that's going to relate to this book isn't going to relate to Harry Potter for another probably 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, but I think also, like, I mean, how old's Ben Jr.? Ben,
he's 5.
You see, so he's 5. I'm purposely not saying his name just for safeguarding issues. And how old's your lad, Rich?
4.
Okay, so I've got a 5-year-old. So we've all got boys around that same age, but like none of them would like. Right, if I use my daughters as an example, they might read. Say any Roald Dahl, they'll just pick it up and read it themselves.
Not at 4 years old, you won't.
No, but they're 9, right? So as older children, they might pick that up and read it, and they'd understand that quite. I think they'd understand that like a Roald Dahl book quite easily. Whereas a Harry Potter book, number one, the words are a bit smaller. It's fucking 7 times the size, right?
True.
And they might not understand the subject matter too much. Although, actually, now that you mention that, now. Even though I've never really watched the Harry Potter all the way through, the beginning of the first Harry Potter is very much like Matilda. I think he's living with step parents who are really horrible to him, and he's got like a step brother or cousins, another cousins or whatever. But one is a right twat to him, or 2 are right twats to him, just like the brother is. So there's a lot of comparisons there.
I think what I mean more is it's like Harry Potter has more substance, has more side plot, it has more going on than Matilda. So somebody younger, maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, will be okay with that, because with Harry Potter, there's too much to detract them from the main story. Whereas as they get a bit older, like 10, 9, 10, 11, 12, Harry Potter, the story and the substance within it would be more intriguing to them. I think.
Okay, so no, that's a good point you're raising. It's a good question to ask to Ben. But just before I do ask the question, or kind of pose this as a question, like for instance, like my 5-year-old, he'll watch Jumanji. He can watch like the first Jumanji, second Jumanji, third Jumanji, Zephora, right, and absolutely love it and think it's brilliant. He can watch something like Moana and follow it and think it's brilliant and want to watch it again. But you can watch anything else, like say teen related, that you find on Netflix, not teen related, but like young children related, and have no idea what's going on and get completely bored. So the question, I suppose, Ben, is how do you stop children getting bored when you're writing a story?
Really, just to pick up on your point earlier on, I think we're in the industry, they're very good at, there are sort of age categories. So you've got picture books, chapter books, lower middle grade, upper middle grade, YA, but they're not really that across to the general public. Really, like most people don't know what any of those terms mean, and it would be helpful, like you say, to have something on the back book saying, a bit like you get with certificates with films. That would be quite useful if publishers started doing that. But to stop kids being bored, really, you just got to, especially when you're writing for like Roald Dahl was for that would be sort of lower middle grade, I would say, is to just keep the story going as much as you can. Don't spend too much time ruminating and just thinking and not doing, like to use a Shakespearean, because I'm a clay guy, like the play Hamlet is just Hamlet walking around thinking about stuff for 3 hours. Get rid of all that, just have stuff happen as much as you can. Really just keep it moving. That's what I would say, as obviously an award-winning author as I am,
So when you're thinking of an idea for a book, like if we say for instance, if we take the Joe Crowley, am I getting that right?
Cowley,
Joe Cowley. So did you have the idea for the character, i.e. based on yourself, but did you have the idea of the character then go, I know I'm going to have this boy who likes A, B, C and D be in situation A, B, C and D and see how it turns out? Or are you using like real life experiences in the first book to start with?
Yeah, I got the idea for the first book. I was at work. I was at work at the Postman, and I had an envelope, and I was delivering to this lad I used to go to school with, and I saw that on the envelope, his dad, a woman who had the same last name as one of like the really like horrible school bullies. And I don't know if there was any relation, but I just had this idea. Okay, what if your parents split up and one of your parents gets together, the parent of your school bully, and you have to live with your school bully in like share a bedroom? And that was how I came up. And that would only really work as a kid's book, really. Although someone's pointed out it's a bit like Step Brothers, the Will Ferrell movie. But,
I've not actually seen that yet, but I've seen clips and trailers of it.
Yeah, and so from then, because I thought, well, that's the kids' book thing, I went back and started rereading a load of kids' books from my youth. And yeah, as Joe developed, the character Joe, he was sort of an exaggerated version of his 14-year-old, really. And like you say, I used a lot of real life inspiration, but I tended to exaggerate it a bit. Like there's things like I had to have braces when I was a kid, and there's a load of dental students that are looking into my mouth, and he was taking Polaroid cameras. And I took that, and I ended up with him having braces, and then he kisses his girlfriend who has a lip piercing, and they get stuck together, and they get taken to the dentist, and the dental students are there, and like everyone's looking at them. So that's sort of how I tend to exaggerate stuff that really happened, because I wasn't kissing any girls when I was at school. That's a big exaggeration.
and you're still not now.
No.
Well, I was at his wedding. To Ben's. I mean, Ben, you've got to be married 8 years now?
Oh, so he doesn't kiss anymore then? Because he's married, he doesn't kiss anymore.
No, yeah.
I'm no Matt Hancock. No, I'm 10 years this year.
Crikey, it's been that long. Bloody hell.
Yeah,
crikey.
Yeah, I know. Shocking. September. Yeah.
How is Mrs. Davis?
Yeah, she's fine. Yeah, I mean, she's in a bit of a mood because they were watching, as I say, Mr. Bean upstairs, and I had to get him to switch it off. So she's having to, I think, probably read to the boy to get him to get to sleep.
Oh, is she reading the Soup Movement? That is the question. Is Ben Junior Is Ben Junior been? Does he know that you write books, or does he not?
He does, yeah. He's got more. I think he used to think that everyone's dad wrote books. He just thought that was something everyone's dad did. But now, yeah, he's getting more used to it now. And he did get me to read a couple of mine to him. And they're a bit too old for him to understand really like, what's going on. But he likes listening to it. There's fart jokes in it. He gets fart jokes. You know, everyone likes a good fart joke.
That's good though, because fart never stops being funny. From the age of 2 to the age of 90, whatever, a fart is always funny.
Absolutely, cool. I think so.
So, I mean, I think, to be honest, I think we haven't really covered everything because we've just been having a good chat. What I'll throw a question out there. And what was the biggest change in the film that you noticed, Ritchie? From the book to the film,
I can't really say I did, apart from the bit where she goes in. They're both going to the house. That's the only big difference for me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's very close to the book.
Yeah, Ben.
Yeah, it surprised me how close it was. Really, like I say, when I read the book, I was expecting stuff from the film to be in it. Like, so I thought she would have ended up like they'd have gone to the house. She'd have ended up in the chokey, but no, it didn't happen. Because, like I say, I mean, the other films they were really different. I think Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Roald Dahl hated that so much he protested outside the cinema with a placard and that because he said it was like ruining his work of art or whatever. But yeah, with this one, it was like I say, other than obviously moving it to America and certain bits, it was actually quite faithful to the original.
I would argue that if Roald Dahl thought Matilda was better than Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, he was probably a fucking idiot.
But we are talking. I think we are talking about the 1970s version of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, aren't we?
Yeah.
He died in 1990, so he wouldn't have had anything to say about Matilda, in all fairness.
And if he'd have seen the remake of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, he'd have had 2 fucking placards
and a stroke, most likely. Actually, I don't think I've ever seen the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I've only seen the Johnny Depp version.
Eat shit.
But only number one, because I don't think it was ever on when I was growing up. Otherwise, I would have watched it. And
of course
number 2,
it was.
No, right, okay. If it was on, it wasn't on the telly that my mum and dad watched. Right, okay, there was
Everybody
a different
had
channel.
the same telly. They just looked at different brands.
Right, maybe I had friends and I was out all the time. I don't know. Right, but
all right, Mr.
Right,
Popular.
moody, right. But I've only seen the Johnny Depp version. But so I can't compare the two particularly. I enjoyed the second one. I thought the second one was all right. I mean, I've never really been interested in watching it, but it was a Tim Burton thing, wasn't it? So, you know.
The sad thing is for you now, Phil, you can't watch the first one because it's one of those things where you have to have grown up with it. It's like if I watch The Goonies now and I've never watched it before, I would think this is a really shit film. But because I grew up with it, it's the best film in the world. What you mean.
Yeah, I mean, but don't get me wrong. There was loads of films like that I sort of mean, like for instance, I tell you what, hasn't stood the test of time particularly, but when I watch it, I don't give a shit, and that's The Flight of the Navigator.
Oh.
I think Flight of the Navigator is an absolutely fantastic film. But I watched it with my daughter the other day, and like she's 9, and I was probably about 9 when I first watched it. She's like, "This is shit. What's this?"
She's been ruined by modern movies.
Yeah, and I'm like, "But look, it's about a boy, and NASA have got him, and it's a spaceship." She's like, "Yeah, but like, where's like it looks really uncomfortable in that thing." I'm like, "It does, doesn't it? Actually, yeah." Why is that? Why is that bird from Sex in the City helping him? I'm like, I don't fucking know. Like, you know, just you know what I mean? It's just like really like, how's he gone back in time? I don't know how's he gone fucking back in time, but it's a brilliant film. All right. So yeah, you're right. There's things that you've got to watch and grow up with to appreciate. Because if I watched it now, I'd be like, this looks really shit. But I can't really say I've ever really been interested in Roald Dahl stuff. To be perfectly honest, you know, it's not a go-to author.
No.
When I was growing up, not really. And film-wise, not really. But I'll watch them because the kids like them. So, you know, what are you going to do?
Yeah, that's fair. So, if you could change the
yes,
cast
here we go.
of the film and put your own cast in there. So if you could change Matilda, change the Trunchbull, and whoever else, who would you change them for?
Go on then, Ben.
Yeah,
Or do you need time to think? Because I think I'd change the name of the film to Macaulay, and I'd have Macaulay Culkin as a 10-year-old in there, and that's what it'd be called, Macaulay, rather than Matilda.
Really?
Well, that'd be funny, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's hard. I think they cast it really well, didn't they? I think because she
did.
played whenever they needed like a precocious little girl, they just used her, didn't they? In any film in the early sort of mid-90s, she was in all of them. So
now, I suppose the easier question is, if you were remaking it, who would you have in the main cast? Now, you know who I'd have as Mrs. Trunchbull? I'd have that woman from Dodgeball. You remember that mad German woman?
Yes.
Big eyebrows. You'd have her.
Pretty much the same woman, just German and with bigger eyebrows.
You'd have her. She'd be Trunchbull, surely, because she'd work in the modern era. I'm not sure. I mean, Childs. I'm not really sure about children actors. I'm pretty sure that any decent child actor would do a good job. But I suppose really it's the mom and dad, isn't it? It's the mom and dad that you want to cast well. But it is cast really well. I mean, I can't think of anyone else better than the people who did it. To be perfectly honest, I would
want to change the feeling of the film a bit and make it a bit more British and have a bit more British humour. Now, you know the little girl when she was a little girl in the program Outnumbered.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
The little sarcastic girl.
Yeah.
She'd be brilliant British
Matilda.
Matilda.
You see, if you were going fantasy British casting, you'd have Helen Mirren as the mom and you'd have Bob Hoskins as the dad, surely.
There you go.
I know Bob Hoskins is dead, but that's what you'd have. You'd have Helen Mirren and Bob Hoskins with the girl from Outnumbered.
Yeah. I'd go with
and the fat boy from Harry Potter, one of the fat boys. Shove him as the brother. Shit, I've just fucking fat shamed someone. Sorry, I didn't mean like.
No, he didn't shame him. He was fat.
Okay, good. Right, Pugsley. Is his name Pugsley, or is there a Pugsley in a different?
Pugsley's in the Addams Family.
Him have someone who looks like Pugsley in the family. I just go around calling all fat kids Pugsley.
That's one thing about Roald Dahl books. There wouldn't like a lot. There's a lot of the fat shaming in a lot of his books, and it's not just like a character saying, "Oh, he's a fat kid." It's Roald Dahl. He'll stop to one side and just suddenly be like, "Yeah, fat kids are disgusting." Like, oh, whoa, all right. Like,
they are.
Yeah, to be honest, it's his descriptions of people like he goes into like minute detail about how shitty they are as a person as well. You like just so you don't like them a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just for reference, the narrator of the Matilda, the radio play was Lenny Henry.
Oh, okay.
And he conversed with Matilda throughout the radio play, which was interesting. But there wasn't anything different in the book to the radio play. There were word for word, line for line. There wasn't anything different.
Cool. Yeah, there's the musical as well. I don't know if you mentioned that earlier, didn't you? There's the Matilda musical that's been going for a few years now, and it's Tim Minchin does the music for that. I haven't seen it though.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah, I heard it's really good, but I've not.
Well, it should be good if he's doing it, I suppose.
Yeah.
So we've had the recast question. I think the other question we normally ask is, what would you add, take away from the film rather than the book? Ritchie?
Oh, I don't know. Just a bit more substance, just a bit more. I don't know. It just seemed like such a. I don't know. You've got a girl, starts school, has a nasty teacher, gains some magical powers, and defeats the nasty teacher so her normal teacher can have a new home. It just seems a little shit.
It is very thin. Well, actually, quite well. Let's ask a proper author who's wrote almost 10 books, right? Is what like if Richard come to you and said, "I've got an idea for a book," and gave you that idea, would you go, "Fuck me, that's a bit thin, mate"?
Well, this is the thing you get as an author. Sometimes they'll give you one of my books. They come to with an idea, and you sort of have to develop it a little bit. So I think the premise of it, the telekinesis, I think that's what it's called, and all that. But then I was thinking, you could. With the film, I could have brought out the dark side a bit, but then I just thought if you just take Matilda and turn up the dark side, it just becomes Carrie by Stephen King, doesn't it? At the end of the day,
That is very true. Yeah. How far do you want to take it? Yeah, she's popped a fucking eyeball out in the classroom.
Yeah, going around. They dump blood on her, don't they? At the prom, and then she goes around like blowing them all up with her mind.
That would have been good. Starts off as it does. It's nice. Children's book, and you think this is all nicey, and then out of nowhere, randomly, it's just Matilda looks at the teacher and her eyeball pops out, blood everywhere. You're like, what the fuck just happened? That would have been surprising, and it'd have been amazing, but no, none of that. It was just a shit thing story.
That should be like Urban Legend 4, Urban Legend Matilda.
Matilda, the Omen Child.
So I think probably what I would have maybe added to it was maybe a little bit more about the dad. So obviously you've got like the FBI camping outside his house because he's selling dodgy car parts. Yeah, but you know what I mean. Maybe like if he was like,
I'd change that. I would change that to the police. That's what I'd change, Phil.
Yeah, but like you can keep it as the FBI, but he's got to be for a reason. So maybe like the showroom at the car showroom, and like there's like a consignment of parts, and inside the parts there's drugs, or there's stolen art or something inside the car parts, and that's why they're watching him. So
that's the DEA then, not the FBI.
Don't get fucking moody with me. You know what I mean? I didn't write the fucking film.
Okay, he's holding weapons, guns and stuff, illegal weapons. Let's go with that.
No. Stolen art's a little bit nicer for kids. If kids start seeing fucking Uzis and then fucking M16s, Mac 10s, you know what I mean? If they see some Van Goghs, they'll be like, "Oh, what's that?" You go,
drugs is all right, Phil, is it?
No, that's what about with stolen art.
Oh, okay, sorry, my bad.
That's the bit I've just added. The stolen art. That's
I thought you said drugs and stolen art.
No, I started with drugs because that's what I like. But
and
then
you worked your way into the art world.
Yeah, I moved on to something more palatable. I know how much drugs cost. I have no idea what a fucking stolen fucking Degas costs.
More than a gram.
Look at Ben. Ben's going, fuck me. My career's gone down the fucking pan. All they've talked about is cocaine the whole fucking time. Right, we can edit all that bit out. Look, to be fair, Ben, no one fucking listens to our podcast, mate. So you're perfect. You're fucking sweet. We've probably had about fucking 60
You're not showing
downloads.
this very well, Phil.
That's
hey, I listened to you on with Scott Capuro the other day. Yesterday, in fact.
For research. Yeah. No, good. Oh, good. Okay, at least that's an extra download. There we go. Perfect. And I'm sure Ben's mum and dad will listen when he tells them, if he does. And then there's an extra 2 listeners because not even my mum listens.
My mum doesn't even know about it.
Oh, there you go. You see. There we go. Okay, so verdict then. Do you, Richard? Do you prefer the book or the film?
Oh, I don't care either. Them both as medium as each other.
Okay, great. So thanks for that decision. Ben, do you prefer the book or the film?
Yeah, as I say, it is a tough one because they're not massively different, and I think it's one of those things of nostalgia as well. It can make you go back and you sort of realise that this isn't as good as I thought it was, as I remember it being. So, but I would probably, on balance, go with the book. Just about.
I think I'll go with the book because I could make it my own. I can in my head I can make it better. So when I saw the film, it's like, oh, I didn't see it like that. I didn't see it like that. I didn't see it like that. So I'd say I'd give the edge to the book.
Mind you, aren't all the books that we cover written by British people and then made into American films, and that's or like High Fidelity British writer. The whole book was based in London, and then it's an American. We've had, obviously, I know that Girl Dragon Tattoo was a Swedish one, but then made into an American thing. And then we've had Mrs. Doubtfire, which was a British film that was made in a British book that was made into American. Matilda, again, the same. Blade Runner was American, that was American. But yeah, it seems that we're reading a lot of British literature that's been, or at least European literature, that's been translated into American medium. We're going, doesn't really make sense, you know what I mean? Because I think Mrs. Doubtfire, it was living in Leicester, weren't he? You know what I mean? Yeah. It was like it was set in Leicester in the 80s, and then you watch the film, you're like, how the fuck is this translated to Leicester from the 80s? You know, and you're right, because you know you've always got your own kind of idea and interpretation of what's going on rather than it being fed to you. But I think like with Mrs. Doubtfire, the book wasn't funny at all. There was one bit that I laughed quite loud at, but the film is just hilarious. So like, you know, the film was better than the book in that sense.
I think it took a genius director to read that book and go, I could make it a fucking amazing comedy out of this. Because it was a shit book. It was a really bad book.
Yeah, but you know what? Actually, because you're pretty much you're quite hard on books actually. Because like you were hard on Doubtfire, I think you've been quite hard on Matilda as well for like the substance of it and you know like being mediocre. But actually, I mean, the film was enjoyable. You know, the film was enjoyable. It was easy to watch. It was easy to follow. Very child friendly as well, because I think it's very hard to make a film that is child friendly from a child friendly book, if you know what I mean. No? Okay, just me then.
Conversation killer, Phil.
Fucking hell, yeah. I'll get my coat, shall I? Yeah. Not the first time I've said something to a fucking.
I said earlier, I have to just keep reminding myself that it's a children's book, and that's why it's. Yeah, it is what it is, and it's for children. I'd say between my son's age and say 8 or 9. It's a kind of book you could read, 2 of them in bed over, say, a couple of weeks or something.
Yeah, both. I say all of mine like Matilda. I think all of mine like Horrid Henry as well. I think to be honest, I think like those 2 films, I don't know whether it's just because I've watched them 50 times a piece, but they seem fairly similar in kind of plot as well. Not plot, but like the kind of the way they're set up, if you know what I mean. It's, you know, that the kind of like the teacher student kind of relationship that they have, and everything's all right in the end and all that kind of stuff, except for in the film of Horrid Henry, his parents aren't wankers. No, it's Richard E. Grant. Now, would Richard E. Grant be a good dad in a remake? If we were remaking it with an alive actor rather than a dead one, I think Richard E. Grant would probably be a very like sleazy and smarmy. You can't have an American dad if we're making it British. You can't have fucking Joe Pesci, can you?
Okay,
I'd like to see that.
Hey, you little shit.
I mean, he's like Danny DeVito turned up to 10, isn't he?
Yeah, sure.
No, well, a more angry, evil Danny DeVito.
That's very true. Yeah. Okay, so what would you give the book out of 10, Ritchie?
For me, it's a difficult one because again, it's a children's book.
No, it's just on how you enjoyed it. It doesn't matter if it's a children's book or not, does it?
3.
Okay, well, that's a bit mean. I would give it a 7. Ben?
Yeah, I'd probably go 7. You know, Trunchbull is an iconic villain in kids' books. True. You know, but it doesn't like you say with a lot of these. It doesn't quite stand up to. Do you
know who she reminds me of? Who's just come to my mind now? Do you remember Living Daylights with Timothy Dalton?
Yeah.
At the very start of that, he's sneaking the geezer out of Russia. That woman who helps him, the size of her. and she buries the bloke's head in her tits until they get away. She would be a perfect Trunchbull.
The one from The Chase.
Yeah, the
Anne Haggerty.
Anne, yeah.
She would. That's brilliant. She'd be fantastic. So Richie, you give the book a 3, 7, a 7, and a 3. The film, Richie?
The film 5. Oh, I like the film better.
Well, you do. There you go. That is the first. That is the first. Ben?
6.
I'd give it a 7. I think a 7 and a 7. I think is perfectly fine because I'd watch it again because I'd probably have to. Right.
Actually, I was being harsh on the book. I'll give them both a 5.
Okay, that's good. Okay, good. So all round decent scores, I suppose. There, decent scores from people who know nothing and from someone who's actually wrote a book. Yeah, mid-range. Yeah, it's probably not his best, but probably not his worst either. In all fairness. Good stuff. So Ben, you said you've got. So that's the end of our podcast review. But before we let Ben go, first of all, I think Ben, I'm very bitterly disappointed that I have no signed copies of any of your books. It's a testament to how you have climbed the ladder of stardom and left us little people behind. Where my daughter does not own a signed Joe Cowley book, but that's okay, you know.
Apologies, we can make that happen.
Good.
Maybe did you say your daughter was 9? Sorry.
Yeah.
Not Joe Cowley, one of the other ones.
Okay.
Joe Cowley's a bit.
I'll get your people to speak to my people. And so you said you got so have you got a title for a book that's coming out, or is that still hush hush, or what's the score?
Yeah. Well, I'm doing something a bit different this summer. I'm putting out an adult book, but all my other books were with publishers. This one, I just wrote it, and I just thought I'm just going to put it out as an ebook myself on Amazon. It's going to be called "Is This It?"
Okay, cool. So do us a favor then. If you've got like links and stuff, if you can send me the link, we can put that link on to this chat and the podcast and all that kind of stuff. Is there anything lined up for you to have any of your books turned into films?
No, the closest I came to that was I wrote a book called My Embarrassing Dad's Gone Viral, and I had an email from my agent saying, "Oh, the BBC's just been in touch. They really like it. They want to talk to you about doing something with it." And I was like, "Oh, fantastic!" And I got sort of all weekend to get excited about it. And then I got an email on the Monday to say, actually, they've just realised they've already got something a bit like that, so they're not going to bother.
Oh, that's a shame.
What's your second name, Ben? Sorry,
David, D-A-V-I-S.
I just want to see what Google says about you. Or if you're the top search or anything.
No, just Ben Davis will be a clothing outlet.
Oh yeah, he's already done this. He's already had it.
I know that because if you listen to a load of rap songs in the 90s, they always name check Ben Davis, like Beastie Boys and that, because that's what they wore back then. Yeah.
And that'll come up with an ER.
And it'll come up as well. If you type in Ben Davis author, it'll come up with my info, but a photo of some bald bloke.
Oh yeah, look at that. That's fucking bizarre.
Ben Davis
it'll be my United States. My book's underneath. But a photo of some art critic from America.
Book. Yeah, they're all there's Ben's books. And
there we are. Ben Davis, Children's, Oxford University Press.
That's you, publisher is, yeah.
So you can find you on Google with your name, but with a bit of digging.
yeah. Be me and some other bloke.
Are you on Audible?
One of my books is on Audible. Yeah, What's That in Dog Years is on there. Yeah.
And who narrates that?
A chap called Dan Bottomley. They didn't, for whatever reason, they didn't want this velvety Tamworth accent to narrate the book, so they paid a professional actor to do it. Yeah.
Do you know who I'd want to be narrating my books? That Scottish geezer from Harry Potter.
Oh, Robbie Coltrane.
No, not him. The one who did the he's fairly like the rugged good looks. Doesn't really sound Scottish, but he's Scottish. Did those private detective BBC dramas? I'll have to look. No.
I'd have Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
Oh, right. As if Ben could afford Morgan Freeman. That'd be
You
his
didn't
role.
say anything about money, Philip.
Have you got to fucking pay people to do it, ain't you? No, I'm never going to find the guy's name in time. But I'd have him. I think his name's Jason something or other. But you know who I mean when you see him. He's quite good.
Yeah.
I like him. I like his voice. Right then. So, other than that, I've got anything to sound.
We never said anything about a soundtrack for the film.
But okay, so what?
Well,
so
leave
what,
it now. Leave it now. It's not really a film for soundtrack, is it?
No, there wasn't anything really in it to kind of give it some. Oh, I know. What about Shampoo? Trouble.
No.
Uh-oh, we're in trouble.
Yeah, remember that.
Yeah, that would be good. That there was
Maybe.
because I was always in trouble. Trunchbull was fucking kids about left, right, and centre, weren't she?
I think you can't use Shampoo though, because pretty sure that's the only song they did. You can't have that throughout the whole film.
So what? So what if it's the only song they did? You don't have to fucking. It's not the Highlander. We're not getting Queen to do the fucking entire soundtrack.
You're talking about soundtrack. They chose Queen for Highlander, and they just have one song all the way through it.
No, they did the whole fucking album.
Exactly.
Whole album.
So Shampoo did one song, and you want to play that one song all the way through the film?
It works in a lot of films, though. Not right. Okay, name another film other than Highlander where one artist has done all of the songs.
That Christmas one with George Michael's.
What, fucking George Michael?
Yeah,
of course.
recently.
It would be fucking George Michael, wouldn't it? Oh, I see. It wasn't a George Michael film. It's just George Michael soundtrack. I don't know. So you haven't given me any evidence of an actual film. You just said words now.
Okay. You talk amongst yourselves, you piece of shit.
Right. I think, to be honest, I think we've covered absolutely everything. We've covered all the changes. We've covered who we'd have. We've covered who we wouldn't. We've given it the scores. We've let our guest shrill himself. So for all his new
Last
stuff.
Christmas, Philip. Last Christmas.
Right. Okay. I'll go and look. Right. So there's one then. Okay. So there's two films. Good. Okay. But I'd still use Shampoo and I'd still use the Samsung all the way through.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can just have that every 5 seconds.
1 hour, 28 minutes. It took me less time to read the book than it's took us to talk about it.
So fuck it. We haven't fucking talked about the book, really, have we? We just said there were 6 differences. There they are. Let's have a little chat.
So what's happening next time then, Phil?
Okay, so in the next episode, usually, we always tell a lie. So we always make something up because we have no idea. Yeah. But we've got Eddie Brimson coming on next, as far as we're aware. Yeah, exactly. See, Ben's quite happy with that. Yeah, so Ben has got a play out called Naughty Boy, so we might try and watch that. But we're thinking either ID or Kez for the next episode, but we haven't really come to a conclusion just yet. We normally let the guest pick. Just because then they might be interested in coming on.
He gave us those to choose from, didn't he?
Yeah. So they're the two to choose from. ID and the book.
Let our guest decide which one we're going to read.
Oh, go on then, Ben. You can choose out of those two, either ID or Kez.
I don't know ID.
I was going to say Ben's going to go, what the fuck's ID?
Yeah, I don't know it.
Go and watch it. It's brilliant.
Okay.
It's a football hooligan film.
It's Reese Dinsdale.
Okay, well, in that case, that's more up Eddie's street, isn't it?
It is. That's why I suggested it. I thought, I thought we'll watch that or give that a read because the book. We're going to start talking about it already, but the book's quite interesting in comparison to the film. But that's the reason why I suggested it was just because of Eddie's background. And then obviously we can watch Naughty Boy as well, and we can chat about his play and stuff. Mm-hmm. But okay, so ID has been chosen then, by the sounds of it.
Yes.
Sounds okay.
Good. I will listen.
There you go.
Cool, excellent stuff. Well, from me, Philip,
and me, Ritchie,
and our guest Ben.
This has been Adapted Screen Podcast.
I'm Yeah, as long as we don't lose you and you can hear us. Can you hear us in real time, Ben?
No,
Yeah.
no, we can't.
Every now and then it goes. I can try going out and coming back in. Be good.
Can try that.
Yeah,
Good
go on.
blast. Can't
Yeah,
can it?
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Right, see you in a sec.
Bear me 1 sec. Sorry about this.
Oh, she's screwing out the room and coming back in. That's not going to work.
That's going to be in the trailer.